We work only with our own money. We don't have any mortgages. We don't rely on this kind of stuff, and we basically move with the pace that we can. It's true that the pace the last few years has been quite fast,
And
but
it keeps
at a
growing,
pace
and it
it
keeps
is growing
growing.
very fast. Yeah, I mean it's easy for me to say, but it's true. It's growing very fast, but it's a pace that we can accommodate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Cyprus, the new podcast series brought to you by Domenica Group. In Real Cyprus, we're going to talk about real estate, finances, society, and everything in between. I'm Alexandros Tsangarides, and together with Kyriakos Charalampous, we're going to be your hosts for this new venture series podcast. Let's see how it goes. Kyriakos, any first thoughts?
Yeah. First of all, again, from my side, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking this time to be with us. Any first thoughts? Excited? I hope that people are gonna find it informative. I'm sure we're gonna have fun. I'm sure our guests we're gonna have fun as well, and we're gonna keep doing it. But as a start, a bit nervous, but thrilled.
It's because we are not experiencing this kind of.
100%.
So I'm gonna ask you kindly to bring your microphone a bit closer to you.
Sure.
Perfect. So I'm gonna start with some questions we've written. So as someone who is deeply involved in shaping Cyprus's real estate landscape, what does Real Cyprus mean to you? And how do you think this podcast can help showcase the true essence of living and investing here in Cyprus and in Paphos?
First of all, just to, in all honesty, say that the questions were written, but the answers were not.
Yeah.
So please excuse me. So the idea behind the podcast was to give stage to people in the industry, predominantly of real estate, but as we said, in various aspects, to basically express, first of all, what they do, how they are assisting the society, the economy of Cyprus, and what field that can go better. Right. So the idea is always things can improve, and we're giving them a way of expressing these things that they believe they can improve. Of course, we will always try to, and they will always try to showcase what's good. But what we really hope that we can get from here is ideas, identification of issues, and hopefully ways that we can mitigate them. I don't know how successful we're going to be. But if we could gradually have people that are decision makers and ask them based on the questions, on the things that we formulate from the podcast, I think that would be great. At the end of the day, okay, we're doing it for our exposure as well, but the aim is to try and make a difference.
And find solutions to problems.
Hopefully.
Second, Domenica Group has been a key player in Cyprus's development for decades, since 1961. How has the real estate industry evolved in Cyprus, and what role has Domenica played in that transformation? Being the third generation of
no pressure, right?
Of Domenica Group, no pressure.
So yeah, the company started in 61, right? So at that time, Cyprus was basically started from scratch. So our company's evolution mimics the evolution of Cyprus economy, Cyprus society as well. So in the beginning, when roads were needed, we were doing roads. When schools were needed, we were building schools. When hospitals, and so on and so forth. So as a group, we were extremely lucky to be able to see this development, this progress that basically we saw in Cyprus, which is, if you think about it, it's phenomenal. Like my grandmother used to have toilets outside of their house. And now my grandmother, I caught her yesterday watching videos on TikTok and finding like things to need. It's
same person.
Same person, right? I don't know how to
about
keep
50 years ago, not 200 years ago.
Exactly. I don't know how they keep it.
I know.
Anyway, so from my point of view, real estate is one of the key drivers of any country's economy, like one of the most cyclical aspects of the economy and one of the things that shape the future. Being able to design the future, shape the future, listen to the market and the needs, and actually make them tangible assets, houses. One of the most important things in anybody's house. It's something very, very fulfilling.
Rewarding.
No, truly. And it's challenging. It's something that is ever changing. It's very dynamic. And the fact that you have to, similar to my grandmother, keep up with changing demands, changing trends, and make them happen inside a slow moving industry such as construction, it's, I can tell you, a very challenging environment to be in.
Do you think it's a slow evolving?
100%. And it is a slow evolving one. And I find that there are typically solutions to problems that we face that sometimes we even know them and we are afraid to implement them in construction. I think from the main industries in Cyprus, it's the one that can be called a dinosaur with the most the justification. And I would be very interested. And actually, it's one of the future episodes that we have that I'm going to share with you to see how the people involved in tech for real estate see these changes, one, and two, how all of the professionals, because each one from its own aspect, see the changes that are happening, how fast they are, they happen, as you say, if the mistakes or issues are identified, and even if they're identified, if there are solutions out there or if they need to create custom-made
That's
ones.
why I'm asking, because as a third person, it seems like a very fast-growing industry.
Yeah. It's a fast-growing industry, but the way we do things in many, many things, not just in the actual construction, but also in the management of the companies, is
Logistics
fortunately or unfortunately, I would say, in some cases, difficult and slow to evolve.
Okay. So, Cyprus attracts people from various countries and backgrounds. How is the real estate market evolving to support this trend?
So basically, it's going back to what we discussed, right? So as Domenica Group, we had to do this because the expectations of people were growing as Cyprus was going from zero to the point that is now. The additional complexity that adds the fact that most, or not most, but a lot of the buyers are foreigners is immense. Why? You come, say, from Poland. You have a set of requirements and characteristics for your property that for you are given. And for us, they are not. So the problem here is that sometimes people don't know the question to ask.
Yeah.
Because it's given that this table is going to be like that. And in Poland, it's given that this table is going to have a different shape.
It's the same industry, but it's based on a different framework, let's say.
Exactly. Okay. So it's the ability to actually understand their expectations, design for their expectations. So adjust your design, your construction methodology, of course, respecting local laws, local norms, etc., and being able to be ahead or at least cope with these changing trends. Because, for example, you see there is an ever-increasing consideration on ESG, on sustainability. The methodology that you use to produce, for example, energy efficiency class A buildings everywhere. As a developer, and in reality, most developers now in Cyprus, that's what we do. We do energy efficiency class A. But so we needed the technology in order to be able to do it, which didn't come from Cyprus, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
It came from outside. So we needed to keep our ears open to get this technology. But at the same time, we needed to have the flexibility, the agility to design spaces to accommodate the ever-changing demands, to accommodate the ever-changing demands in terms of construction methodologies, materials, qualities, and also to not lock ourselves, meaning not to create spaces, buildings, or assets that with the change that we see in everyday life, COVID, they will become obsolete.
Yeah.
That's way more difficult than what it sounds. To basically design today something that it will have basically use for decades.
Yeah. And based on our framework, maybe that's why you're saying that it's a slow industry, it's a slow moving, evolving industry.
It also takes time to build them, right? I mean, you design a building and it takes 1.5, 2 years to make it into fruition. So, and sometimes.
So you need to be looking ahead.
Yeah, because concrete doesn't forgive, as we
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
say, that once you cast something, it's very difficult to make the
It's
change.
done.
So you need to plan ahead. When you want an extra light, for example, in the beginning of construction, that's something super easy to do. When there is a wall and everything is done, it's something complex, costly that takes time.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why planning ahead and relying on both previous experience, but also with your ears and your eyes open on new trends is essential.
Nice. So Dominica is expanding everywhere. We can see signs everywhere. We keep putting new ones every day.
That's your
That's my that's my headache.
look. As a company, we are perceived to be in the market as a value for money developer. Okay, we are run by engineers. Okay, with the good and the bad things about it. That means that we are practical people, that we try to only reach up to where we can actually grab. Okay, as you know, we work only with our own money. We don't have any mortgages. We don't rely on this kind of stuff, and we basically move with the pace that we can. It's true that the pace the last few years has been quite fast.
And
But
it keeps
at the
growing,
pace,
and it
it
keeps
is growing
growing.
very fast. Yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to say, but it's true. It's growing very fast, but it's a pace that we can accommodate. What is the plan? To keep growing at this pace, if not even more. Keep coming up with the things that the market will need before the market actually needs it, because that's how you actually differentiate. And keep trying to do our job with the highest standard and the highest quality. Because a value for money developer does not mean that I'm not actually serving the quality. We are building with our own construction team for 63 going to 64 years. We know how to build. We want to ensure doing it. And the challenge of keeping up with the demand and the changing trends that we mentioned is what it's gonna keep us, let's say, interested in the coming years for sure.
Nice. I think that's enough for our first episode.
Yeah, it's not bad, right?
Well, I think we did good. What are we expecting on episode 2?
So on episode 2, we're gonna start a series with guests from the industry.
Don't disclose any names.
Yes, we're gonna try and have people from different aspects of starting from the real estate industry, meaning lawyers, agents, architects, tax planners, and basically moving on to expanding the scope on the people that are gonna be using the assets. So people in the long-term rental business, short-term rental business, moving forward, people in tech that has to do with real estate, people in asset management, portfolio management, representatives of banks, and in general, all aspects that had to do with, as we said, real estate. Because the motto of the podcast, just to say something that Alexandros came up with, which was fantastic, it's Real Cyprus, real talks, real people, real estate. Right? We will inevitably real estate is interlinked with society.
Yeah.
It's going to expand beyond real estate, but that's good because we said the aim here is to discuss in all honesty issues, how we can improve, and ideally find solutions.
Perfect. Thank you so much for watching our first episode, and we can't wait to see you on the second.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Bye.